This country is going to be in big trouble. It's so sad to see what's happening.
Wow, cops hate consequences.
Tell me about it.
New world order. The following announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
I recently received notice for jury duty. It's been a very long time since I've had to serve. In fact, I was in my early 20s. Once for a case in which two young guys at a party raced their cars and one died in an accident from that race. Of course, the prosecutor has to say that the guy who lived in that race was the cause. We all found him not guilty. My second experience was shortly after for grand jury duty. I'm sure I screwed that up knowing what I know now about the corrupt, one-sided system we call the grand jury. I thought that the questions I recently was asked from the court didn't properly give a complete story as to how a prospective juror truly felt about the system or how their opinion might decide the case in front of them, no matter what directions a judge may give them. The following questions I feel would give a much better light as to each juror's opinions.
I see a clinic full of cynics who want to twist the people's wrist. They're watching every move we make. We're all included on their list.
Do you think jury nullification is okay? Yes or no? Now what I'd like to do next is put a short clip in, a couple of clips I put together, about 40 seconds long, from the website here that you see, a conversation with Associate Justice Sonia Sotomayor. Now I'm definitely no fan of hers, but what's good for her certainly is good for us regular folk, isn't it? And I want you to hear what she has to say about jury nullification. So feel free to go to YouTube and watch the full interview with her, and I'm using this under fair use.
You know, the Second Circuit has an opinion that basically says that juries should never be instructed about jury nullification, and that any instruction that would suggest it is wrong. I'm not so sure that that's right. If it weren't for jury nullification, we would have many civil rights individuals who would be convicted felons or otherwise for things that today we think are protected by the First Amendment. There is a place, I think, for jury nullification. Finding the balance of that, the jury getting wrong was better than the Crown getting it wrong.
Could you come to a conclusion to a case as a juror before the complete case has been presented to you? Yes or no? Of course I could. There's a certain point where you've heard plenty, and so the rest of it is just a waste of your time as a juror. Would the opinion of another juror on your team be important to you? Yes or no? Of course not. I could care less. Are you the type of person who needs other people's opinions before you can make a major decision? Yes or no? I'm not a sheep, I'm a leader. Do you think being a juror is your civic duty? Yes or no? I don't need any court or judge to tell me what's important in my life. Can you leave your life experience out of your decision as a juror? Yes, not sure, or no? Well, the older you get and the more you see and experience in life, I feel it's going to somehow enter into any decision you make as a juror. Do you believe in the death penalty? Yes or no? Well, I always used to believe in the death penalty many years ago, but then you start to see how corrupt cops, corrupt prosecutors, and corrupt judges deal with things. And to have somebody put to death who did not commit that crime is terrible. And the way I look at it, I'll let the man upstairs take care of that person if, in fact, they truly did it. I'd rather find somebody innocent than find them guilty on corrupt facts or corrupt information given to me as a juror by cops, prosecutors, and judges. Do you think it is okay for a woman to claim years down the road on a man? Yes or no? We'll leave that one alone. You come to your own decision on that. Are you okay with hearsay evidence not being allowed in at a trial in most cases? Yes or no? Absolutely not. It should be let in. Knowing a cop can lie to you and it is perfectly legal for them to do, would you trust what they say in court or the report they made? Yes, not sure, or no? Absolutely not. Wouldn't trust a thing they'd had to say. And you also notice that a lot of times when they have their body cams on, isn't it interesting how the body cam shuts off at very important times? Are you okay with qualified immunity for cops? Yes, not sure, or no? Absolutely not. Cops should not be given qualified immunity, especially when, say, someone might have, I don't know, gigs of data on a DVD that show that the cop is either one of two things. He's a stupid fuck or he's a corrupt motherfucker. There aren't any other two ways about it. And when you have judges that allow said cop to get away with qualified immunity, then that is an injustice. And so qualified immunity is just another way for the bad cop. There are good cops, but the bad cop knows what he can get away with. And he will do it to the nth degree, riding right on the edge of that law. And so, as stated, if you can provide so much evidence to a judge, and that judge allows qualified immunity without letting it go to trial for a jury of the person's peer, then we have a system which is flawed and failed. Do you believe a case should be won by only the preponderance of the evidence? That is, the burden of proof is met by only greater than a 50% chance, more likely than, that the claim is true? Yes, not sure, or no? Let me tell you, don't come up with these bullshit words of preponderance. You either have a case or you don't. There's no such thing as 51% in my mind. You either have the evidence or you don't. Plain and simple. Does a prosecutor who has multiple charges against someone and wants the jury to decide which one the defendant should get charged with, okay with you? So what that is just throw out a bunch of charges and you're supposed to determine what it is you're charging them with. Yes, not sure, or no? Well, look, Mr. Prosecutor, you either know your job or you don't. When you start coming in with 2, 3, 4 different things and you want a juror to decide on one, tells me you're just throwing anything up on the wall. Just like, let's say, for instance, murder 1, murder 2, murder 3. If you don't know the law, don't expect a juror to. So you either come up with one thing, because all you're doing now is fishing. And like, well, if we can't get them on 20 years in jail, let's try to get them on 15. If we can't do 15, let's do 10. So again, a corrupt system. What is your view of cops from your experience? Positive, neutral, or negative? Oh boy. Let's just leave this as it is here. Now I would like to state, you've got plenty of good cops, but the bad, filthy, nasty, corrupt, holier than thou cop who thinks they're God because they have that gun and badge and can dictate to you. I want to share one experience that I've had. It's been many years ago. I drove my motorcycle to a church, services on a Saturday afternoon. And about midway between services there, those stained glass windows got pretty dark. And by the time church was over, those windows were really dark. Now I knew there wasn't a total solar eclipse, so when I went outside it looked like all hell was going to break loose with the storm. So I tried to hurry home. Of course I didn't make it. So I'm on a state route. I pulled off on a country side road because it was no longer safe for me, so I had to just kind of wait till the rain subsided. I had a deputy sheriff stop, tell me to get into the front seat, get out of the rain, and then when the rain did subside, he said, let me follow you home to make sure you get home safe. Now, what I wish I would have done way back then was, this would have been in the later 90s. I wished I would have sent a letter to the sheriff and told him how much I respected that person. Because there's an officer that protects and serves his community. I know a fucking cop that probably would have had my motorcycle towed, given me a ticket for impeding the flow of the rain or something, because he's such a dumb fuck. So, again, we have good cops and we have dirty cops. It's a shame that the dirty, filthy cops give the good ones, can give them a bad name. But like I said, in that instance, that deputy sheriff went above and beyond the duty of taking care of the citizen of his community, and I much appreciate that. Do you think a cop could lie on a police report? Yes or no? Absolutely. Been there, done that, seen it. Do you think the process of the grand jury is fair? Yes, not sure, or no? As I alluded to earlier in this video in the beginning, grand jury is a circus. You've got a prosecutor who tells you his side of the story. To me, just go to trial. Let's look at all the facts. But you want to tell me what you think you've got on somebody on one side? It's not going to cut it. If your company doesn't pay you for your time off because of jury duty, would that affect your performance as a juror? Yes, not sure, or no? Yeah, let me be clear. You demand that I have to miss work, lose money, and listen to some bullshit case that I have no care about? Yeah, something's going to give. And it's going to be the performance and my decision. What is your opinion when a defendant is tried for a second time after a hung jury at the first trial? That's okay, not sure, and that's not okay. Absolutely not okay. It's not fair to the defendant, because you should have one time as a prosecutor. Now again, as a prosecutor, you got one chance. So once you go through and you see all your fuck-ups that you made on the first trial, you're going to change your strategy. Maybe not allow certain things in from the defendant. So yeah, very unfair. As far as I'm concerned, a hung jury is a not guilty. How do you feel about the judge not allowing evidence in that a defendant wants in at trial? I'm okay with that. The defendant should use all the evidence. The defendant should have everything at his disposal to fight for his freedom at trial, period. Do you think prosecutors routinely hide evidence in a criminal case? Yes, not sure, or no? Is the Pope Catholic? Does a bear shit in the woods? Have you been the victim of a false police report from a corrupt, dirty cop? Yes and no. We'll go back to, is the Pope Catholic, and does a bear shit in the woods? Have you been the victim of a corrupt, dirty cop? Yes or no? Is the Pope Catholic, and does a bear shit in the woods? If you are given a case in which a cop has body cam footage, but for some unknown reason, important parts suddenly disappear, would you hold anything that cop testifies to as truthful? Yes, not sure, or no? Let's go back to that Pope and the bear. Do you believe that if a cop doesn't have a body cam, he should be put out of service and not allowed to deal with the public? Yes or no? Absolutely. Today's day and age, when you have electronics, you need to hold corrupt cops accountable. And anything they do, you'll see YouTube videos, TikTok videos, where cops will just come up to people and for no legal reason, not having any anything to where they've committed a crime, no articulable reason that they've committed a crime, will ask for their ID. So that alone shows you that so many cops don't know the law, and they want to put their what they want to do because they got that gun and badge, just like someone I know, and by God, they're going to force it down your throat because they think they're God, but they're not. Okay, and sadly, so many of them don't know the law, and they take an oath to uphold the Constitution, of which so many break. So, yeah, you need body cam footage to keep the corrupt cop accountable. And you need to get rid of qualified immunity. And judges that allow qualified immunity should be shit-canned.
They made me head wiper.
Ho, 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 motherfuckers. This motherfucker.
I don't give a rat's ass. I don't care what the system is. I ain't giving it up.
Do you feel an expert witness adds value to a trial case? Yes or no? Well, let's analyze this, boys and girls. You have the prosecution who has unlimited means available to them as far as expert witnesses, labs that they can use, and their witnesses say A, B, C, and D. Now you have the defendant, which in most cases has nowhere near the wherewithal to do what the prosecution can do money-wise. So they get their expert witness and they say EFG. So you've got one particular case, two experts, and they have opposing answers. They have opposing opinions. So what value is that? Has absolutely no value, because which one do you decide on? If I'm going to go with somebody, it's probably going to be the defendant, because the prosecution has so much money available to them that I don't trust them. So really, an expert witness, you can see it on any major thing on court TV when I follow some of those major cases, how they have differences in opinions. And how can that be? You know, you can only have one decision if it's correct. But to have two different opinions that oppose each other really, again, shows that you can pay for the answer that you want. What is your overall view of the justice system? Positive, neutral, or negative?